Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 18, The Power of Water. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how do we make electricity using dams? In this lesson, students will plan and carry out an investigation to discover how dams provide electricity, while also developing and revising a model to communicate their explanations. Students figure out that energy is present in moving objects, including water in a river, and that energy can be transferred from one place to another. In the dam, energy in the moving water is transferred to a turbine and generator in the dam, which transfers the energy into electrical wires. Students make connections to the storyline by understanding that dams are used to produce electricity through energy transfer. This is a benefit of constructing and using dams. There are several opportunities for ELA cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 18 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 5 days to complete. For the Engage portion, you'll revisit the driving question board and highlight questions connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about how dams produce electricity. You'll then show a video and some images that give a big picture view of how a dam works. You'll ask students how they think electricity is produced in a dam based on their observations. For the Explore portion of the lesson, you'll divide students into groups and provide each group with the hand-cranked generator. After students have explored the generators on their own, you'll ask students to share some ideas about their observations and record them on the board. Pause this video to review the needed materials and photos showing items you can find in your kit for the activity. You'll provide students with the Producing Electricity student journal page. You'll review the investigation question, materials, and guide students to discuss and record answers to the pre-investigation questions. During the investigation, students will turn the generators at different speeds and take notes of the electricity produced. In the Explain portion of the lesson, students will engage in a class discussion about their observations and learning from the activity. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how do we make electricity using dams? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student observations and think about how electricity is produced in the hand crank model. You will use the discussion to create the Lesson 2 summary chart. From the discussion, students should understand that dams use the movement of water to spin turbines to generate electricity. Providing electricity is a benefit of the dam and a reason for people to build dams. You'll then read Energy Makes Things Happen as a class. Use the Read Aloud guide to help students synthesize ideas about energy transfer. During the discussion, you can post and discuss the energy transfer vocabulary card. You'll have students return to their small groups. Students should use the simplified diagram of the hand-cranked generator system on the Producing Electricity student journal page to label where the energy transfer occurs and the evidence of energy transfer. They will also create a written explanation. For the Elaborate portion, you'll revisit the slides from the Engage that show the big picture view of how a dam works and ask questions about what students have learned about energy transfer and the production of electricity in a dam. You'll show students the hydroelectric dam animation and have students create a model of the Glen Canyon Dam and how it produces electricity on the Modeling Glen Canyon Dam student journal page. You'll help students develop a Gotta Have It checklist that tells us what to include in student models. For the Evaluate portion, students should do a self-assessment of their models using the checklist. Then you'll have students share their models with a partner and give each other feedback, again using the Gotta Have It checklist as a guide. Based on their discussion, students should change their models to reflect feedback. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient them back to the driving question board. Ask, what questions do we answer about how dams produce electricity? And what new questions do we have? By the end of this lesson, students will have carried out an investigation to explain how energy can be transferred from place to place by moving objects, and created and revised a model to show how energy transfers from a river through a dam to produce electricity. In Lesson 3, students figure out about other natural resources humans use for energy and fuels, how they are renewable or non-renewable, and how using each resource impacts the environment. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.